Okay, hello everyone. This is Steven Kolawole from Nigeria. I'm live at PyCon Africa 2020, and I'll be giving a talk on Streamlit, the fastest way to build data apps. Thank you all for coming on board. So here is our table of content. First of all, we go to the problem statement. What are the issues being faced by data scientists and machine learning engineers in creating web apps? And then we move on to what Streamlit is all about. We discuss the essence of Streamlit and how it connects with our problem statement. And afterwards, we will install Streamlit, and then I'll play briefly with the demo. And then we are going to build a data app. In that data app, I'm going to show you the building blocks of Streamlit and how you can spin up a simple web app in few minutes. And then we'll be having a sneak peek at the different use cases of Streamlit. And finally, I'm going to discuss the cons of Streamlit and why Streamlit might not be the ultimate solution to every web issues out there. Okay, just before I move on, I want to make a quick check on you guys. Okay, we're on board. So I will continue. Just before I start, let's have a quick look at my profile. I'm Steven Kolawole, as I said earlier, and I'm a machine learning engineer looking for his next gig. And I'm a computer science undergrad in his penultimate year at Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta. And I consider my skill set to be somewhere in the intersection between software engineering and data science. And also, I'm a Liverpool FC fan since I was a kid. All right, and now it's just a very nice time to be a Liverpool FC fan. And I use Python for most of my workflow. All right, and I use Python for data science. I use Python for machine learning. I use it for web development. I'm quite fast with Django, Flask, and of course Streamlit. That last point, I prefer not to talk about it for obvious reasons. Okay, so here's our problem statement. If you've built a data-driven web app before, then you'll probably be familiar with this process. All right. And then the first process is visually exploratory data analysis being carried out in notebooks. Right. And we analyze the data, we explore the data, and we derive useful insights and all. And this notebook are usually very, very messy. So if you want to share your findings with friends and colleagues, then you probably copy and paste the relevant functions in a .py script, all right, and then you probably host it on GitHub, so others can have access to it. And then maybe you've been working on a, let's say, recommendation engine that could, I don't know, maybe predict the best kind of clothes to wear on a particular day, or that can recommend the closest or the best restaurants closest to your particular location. So you probably want your friends and family members to make use of it. And if you're doing that, you'll be creating an app. All right. And if you are creating an app, you'll probably be using Flask for it. And if you are using Flask, that means you'll be making use of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and JSON at the very least. But if you're actually building this data-driven web app as part of an organization project, all right, and you're in a fairly large organization, so that means your organization will probably have a dedicated software infrastructure team, and then that means that you won't have to build that app yourself. So all you're going to do is to outline the requirements to the software engineering team, and they will carry out the UI UX designing. And let's say in a month's time, you're going to have a beautiful app on your hands. And the software engineering team lead will probably tell you, hey, boss man, we have a lot of apps where we're currently maintaining, so we will only be able to carry updates on your app once in every 3 months. So that's the process. And that leads us to our pain point. Number one pain point is that we depend on the software engineering team. And this usually takes up a bunch of our time. I mean, we keep, we have to iron out communication issues. We have to clear up misunderstandings and make sure that they get what we're trying to build. And also, we can't just create new features and updates on a whim. I mean, we have to follow a protocol. I can't just wake up on a morning and say, hey, I want the sidebars to be designed differently. It's not going to work. It's not going to be feasible. And then we could actually create those apps ourselves. But number one is that most of us data scientists, ML engineers, we suck at UI designs. If you're like me, I don't even recognize the blue color from the purple color. And secondly, creating a web app usually consume a huge amount of time. I mean, you're probably going to spend weeks or maybe months learning Flask. And if you're learning Flask, you have to learn JavaScript. You have to learn HTML, CSS, JSON, and you have to understand how HTTP request works and other stuff also. And this usually takes up a large amount of time. Finally, we prefer to use our code to generate insights or build model than using our code to provide our user with a pleasant experience. Having said this, this leads us to our $1 million question. So, what if we could build apps as easily as writing Python script? We could really change the world, right? And that leads us to Streamlit. So, what is Streamlit? Streamlit is the game changer that data scientists have been waiting for. Streamlit is all about building apps as easily as writing Python scripts. So you could have your app Streamlit, you could have your app and name it, I don't know, maybe my.py, all right, and in that in that your Python script, you just have to write out your functions, and then sprinkle in a few API calls, and then you run Streamlit run my.py in your command line or terminal if you are using Linux. All right, and you go off to your web browser and you are going to have your web app waiting for you. Sounds too easy, right? And that's not all about Streamlit. Streamlit also covers most UIs being used in data apps. Um, if you've built if you're familiar with the web app process, there are usually tons of UIs, being made use of to make it to make it quite aesthetic to the client. And then I'm talking about you having a sidebar, you outlining your title, you adding colors, you adding a to do this in Flask, they do take up lots of hours to implement. But if you are using Streamlit, you could do this in minutes. In fact, you could do this in few seconds. All right, and and that's quite amazing. And finally, Streamlit supports our favorite visualization libraries. Now I'm talking of Plotly, Patai, Bokeh, PyDeck, and others. Streamlit supports every single one of them. Uh, and also still need support for machine learning and data science libraries. All right, and that means you don't get to leave your pandas, numpys, your TensorFlow, your PyTorch behind. Okay, so let's move on to the installation process. So to install Streamlit, all you have to do is keep install Streamlit, and then you move on to your you'll be doing this in your command line. All right, so you keep install Streamlit, and then you run Streamlit hello to spin up a demo. So I'll be doing that right now. All right. So I'm going to go over to my command line. Okay, I have it right here. Okay. So I've already installed Streamlit. So I'm going to go Streamlit hello right now. Okay. So I'm running this, and I'm going to go over to my browser to see the results. Okay, it's still coming up. Let me you don't have to do this right now. This is a talk, not a tutorial. All right, and I've included a link to my GitHub, where you can access link to my files, to everything, and those are right here on this stuff. So you could try this out later. It's coming up slowly. Okay. It's still coming up. Um, coming up. It's taking a while. taking too much of our time. But let's just hang on. Okay, okay. So we have it. Welcome to Streamlit. Here you can check out Streamlit.is. You could jump into the documentation. You could ask a question in the community forum and some more complex demos. But for now, we'll be trying out a fairly simple demo. So I'm going to come to this side and right click on this. I'm going to choose a plotting demo. You could try out any one of these demos on your free time. Okay, so it's coming up. So you can see that this show code click by default. Okay, it's coming up. Okay, so we have our plotting demo. It's an animation of the line chart. All right. Uh, so I think this is quite beautiful. Um, then it's still loading up. It's going to output the code, that is doing this right now. Okay. So 98, 99. Yeah, and we add it. So I'm going to scroll down for our code. Okay, so now we have it. Okay, so have a look at this code right here. I mean, this code is less than 20 lines of code. Um, with this code, we are having a though it's pretty basic, but we have a simple line chart app, all right, in very few lines of code. Okay, so that's it about that. So let's move on. I'm going to start this. Okay, so let's build the data app ourselves. All right. So right now I'm going to walk you through the process of building a simple data app. So the first what we're going to do is this. We have an hello.py file somewhere here, and the hello.py file contain these two lines of code. Import string it as st and then st.write lol. So we go over to our command line and run this particular code. Streamlit run hello.py, and it's going to spin this up in our browser. Hello world. Okay, so here's the code right here. Um, okay, but I'm not going to run it. It's pretty basic. So I'm going to show you a fairly complex example. All right. So I'm not going to run this, but if you want to run this, there's a link to this on my it is hosted on my GitHub on a GitHub repo. I shared the link in the comment section. So let's work with this. So I this is a distro this distro.py, and it actually I actually wrote this code for one of my sisters, one of my younger sisters was learning distribution recently. So I thought that it's going to be a nice idea if she could actually see what she was trying to read in terms of live on the web app. I thought it's going to make her learning somewhat more fun than social. So that was the inspiration behind writing this. So let's have a look at this. Import Streamlit as st is the first line, and the second line we are importing numpy, and the next line we are there's st.title distribution tester. I feel this is pretty straightforward. That means that we are going to have a big title with distribution tester written. Okay, and the next line is st.write. Pick a distribution from the list, and we shall draw the line chart from a random sample from distribution. So it should be okay. Okay, so it's for a random sample. Okay, and so having done this, I have I have another variable right here, which is case, and is an array saving two strings, normal and uniform. So I have another key. I have another distribution right here, this key, and right here there is a function, there is a string function. written inside st.select box, and I'm passing in my key variable as an argument. All right. So and the next line of logic says that if this is equals to normal, so I'm going to have a new variable called norms, and then it's going to be a single randomly generated number within the range of 0 to 1000. But if this key, if the disk is selected is uniform, I'm going to have norms, a variable that is containing an array in the range of 1000. All right. So I'm going to have an array of 1000 randomly generated numbers. All right. And finally, um, I'm plotting a line chart, line chart with norms passed as as with norms passed as argument. So I'm going to go over to my terminal, and then I'm going to run it. Pin it on distro.py. So okay, so I'm going to go back to my browser to see the results. Okay, I'm going to refresh this. It's still coming up. Okay, for those that might just be joining, all my folks right here are being I already posted the link in the comment section, and the GitHub repo contains the link to all my slides, all website I'll be making reference to right here, and also it contains the files that I'm working with here. Okay, so still coming up. Okay, so now we have it. We have a big header right here, distribution tester. All right, and then you remember our st.guides here. Here's it right here. The rest is still loading. Okay, so as you can see, we have our select ball right here, and normal was picked by default. Okay, now we have our line chart. All right, and it's a thing of beauty, right? So right here, I'm going to click here, and I'm going to change this to uniform. So what do we have? Okay, seems like our line chart is changing. Okay, still changing. Oh, now we have a different line chart. All right, and it's quite amazing that I wrote this in less than I think 10 lines of code. So we have a quite beautiful web app right here. So I think that's very amazing. That's quite amazing today. And there are other stuff you could do on your web app. All right, I could save this picture. All right, I could save the chart, as a picture, and also I could record. Let me see. I could record a screencast, all right, and maybe share it on my favorite social platform. Okay, so that's it about that. So let's move on. And since we are done with that level, let's have a sneak peek at the different use cases of Streamlit. So the first one is this. It's a demo app that was created by the Streamlit team itself, and it lets you perform a semantic search across the entire Udacity subscribing car photo dataset. And it runs a complete neural network in real time from within the app in less than 300 lines of code. Tell me that this is not amazing. Let's go over to the GitHub page so you can try this out on your own. Let me stop this. Okay. Um, okay. It's right here. So here's the site. As you can see, here's the GitHub page. It was designed by the Streamlit team itself. Right here is the Streamlit founder. He also made the comments to it. And in case you want to try it out on your own, yeah, some guides, tip on how to install this. All you have to do is pip install Streamlit and open the PyCon, and then you Streamlit on this. If you notice, this is a Right here is this is not a local file, all right? You are running a file straight from you are passing a URL and running a file straight from GitHub, and I feel that's pretty cool, right? So let's have a look at the second instance, second use case. This was designed by a friend of mine, right? And he is basically a predictive app. It's an house rent pricing app, and it was built for major cities in Lagos State. So if you want to live in Lagos, all right, so you could just come over here and then input the features of the house that you want to live in, all right. So as you can see, there are a lot of stuff that you'd want to make use of here. So you can see there are a lot of options right here. So you could change the locations. There are different locations right here. All right. And you could change the type of the income range. You could choose a low income or middle range or an expensive area, the expensive areas. All right. And then once you're done with that, all you have to do is to evaluate. All right. Once you press evaluate, is going to bring up an estimated price of that kind of house, and I feel that's actually great, right? It's quite nice to me. All right, and let me just try it out right here. Okay, so and then let me change this to medium. Then let me evaluate. Um, okay. Okay, so we have a price, we have an estimated price right here. All right, and then you're probably going to get that kind of um, apartment for about 1 million naira. All right. Okay, so let's move on. Again, so here are the cons of Streamlit. There's the convenience, flexibility trade-off. All right. So it's actually the one of the biggest strengths of Streamlit, and also is its Achilles heel. All right. So the idea is that Streamlit abstract out most of the UI designs that you get to make. But that also means that you won't be able to place two charts side by side in Streamlit. And also there's a cap on the size of data input that you can upload, and it's 50 megabytes of data. And also there's limited support for videos and animation. That means that you can build an app with functionalities like user interface, user authentication, newsletter subscription, user to user interaction. All right. And then, having said that, nevertheless, Streamlit is still simple enough to use for every Python programmer. And if you're a data scientist and you want to spin up an interactive data app very quickly, Streamlit is your guy for that. But if you want something more complex than a single page web app, then Streamlit is not going to be your guy. All right. Maybe you want an app with functionalities like a chat box or a chat room, then probably you should try out Flask or Django. But finally, let's have a look at the stack or at the arsenal of a Flask developer as compared to a Streamlit developer. So if you're a Flask developer, you'll be making use of Flask, and then at the very least JavaScript, HTML, CSS, and JSON. If you want to take things up a notch, all right, you'll be making use of Angular JS or maybe even React, and then maybe even Bootstrap, all right. But if you're a Streamlit developer, all you have to make use of is Streamlit. And let's say you want to containerize your app, then you would make use of Docker. All right, so that means that all you're ever going to need as a Streamlit developer is Streamlit and Docker. So having said that, we're done. So thank you so much for taking your time to listen to my talk. No, I can see that question right now from Belinda. Do you think Streamlit will replace Flask? No, Streamlit cannot replace Flask. All right, there are a lot of tons, as I explained earlier. There are tons of stuff that you could do with Streamlit. You could do with Flask, but you can't do with Streamlit. All right. For example, as I said earlier, you could make custom designs. You could add a chatbot with Flask. You could add a chat room. All right. You could have a social authentication. People can authenticate with they can log into your platform I don't know, maybe their Google accounts, with their Twitter accounts, with their Facebook account, but with Streamlit, you are not going to be able to do that. All right, there is no authentication at all in Streamlit. But if you're a data scientist, then Streamlit is the best app that you're ever going to need. All right, maybe to spin up a data app. You want to spin up an interactive an interactive app, and it's quite a good way, it's quite a good way, to check out what's going on with your app. You don't have to complete your app before you spin it up on Streamlit. All right. So that's nice. Okay. I think I've answered that. Okay. Another question: can you use Streamlit without knowledge of HTML, CSS? Yes, absolutely. In fact, that's all Streamlit is all about. You creating app without you knowing HTML, without you knowing CSS or JavaScript. You don't have to care about that. All you need to know to use Streamlit is Python. All right. Once you have a basic knowledge of Python, you're good to go with Streamlit. So thank you, everybody. Okay, I have another question. Can you customize the Streamlit UI? Unfortunately, no, you can't. You can't customize the Streamlit UI. All right, it's actually one of the strengths of Streamlit, the fact that you don't have to care about the UI designs. All right, everything is by default. All right, you just have to make API calls, and then Streamlit is going to spin it up for you, so you can't customize the UI. Okay, there's a question also: can one package Streamlit as Android APK? For now, no, you can't. I'm quite sorry about that, but I don't know, maybe in the months, Streamlit is still a work in progress. All right, and maybe in the next few months we'll be able to do that. All right, but for now you won't be able to package Streamlit as an Android APK. It's just a web app for now. You could spin it up on a server. All right, you could host it on a cloud provider. Yeah, you could host it on AWS, on Google Cloud or Microsoft Azure. But for now, you won't be able to package it as an Android APK. Okay, thank you very much, everyone, for taking time to listening to this talk. It's so much exciting to be here on this platform.